Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 4 now in the series between Nerchio and Kaz. Nerchio has spawned as the red Zerg on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Empire Kaz has spawned as the blue Terran on the bottom left, opening up with have fun, good luck, good games, good luck, fun, have. Nerchio doing his best impersonation of Yoda, and I don't know if I really believe in Nerchio's good luck, have fun. One of the more BM players out there. If you guys have not been keeping up with the series, currently Nerchio is up 2-1 after losing Game 3 on Antigua Shipyard. And according to Nerchio, he lost to Kaz not because Kaz was the better Terran player, but because Antigua Shipyard is so imba for Terran. Now, as we move on to Game 4, if we want to say a different favorings of different maps, I gotta believe Daybreak has a slight win percentage for Zerg. I haven't checked Team Liquid recently, but I do believe that is the case, as we now see Kaz opening up and perhaps getting a command center first? Alright, command center first now coming in from Kaz, which would be a very, very risky move, but then Nerchio may try to go for a hatchery first. Nerchio, though, normally doesn't go for a very economic opening or a very greedy opening at all, so we'll see if Nerchio is going to be going for that hatchery first, and that does appear to be the case. So Nerchio going hatch first here on here on Daybreak, and we will see Kaz follow up with his own command center first, and now Nerchio most likely will be trying to get up that spawning pool in just a moment. Both players playing the economic style, and Nerchio will discover this first just because he has an overlord already 3/4 of the way across the map. There's that barracks now being placed down. Meanwhile, spawning pool is down as well. Nerchio will have a lot of work cut out for him. He will need to place down a bunker relatively quickly, as Nerchio should, or Kaz will have a lot of work cut out for him, as Nerchio is going to come in with this Overlord, spot this command center first, and maybe perhaps play aggressive. Now, Nerchio could also follow up with his own third hatchery as well here. We'll have to keep track of that, keep tabs on that in just a moment. 3 minutes, 30 seconds in, as the Overlord is going to be parking itself off in the corner here in just a second. Now, all the drone of Nerchio does is make sure that there is no proxy barracks. Now, the proxy barracks locations are often here or often here as well, so I'm not quite sure Nerchio didn't spot this location, as we are now going into a pair of queens and 2 zerglings. There is that bunker on that front door, which is oh so common, upgrading now to an orbital command. And Kaz most likely will finish off this wall off here with another supply depot, making sure that Zerglings don't get a free run by. This is going to be cutting it rather close, though. 2 Zerglings are already out, and we'll see if they just activate the Zelnaga towers and what their follow-up play will be, as we see a factory now placed down. Alright, there is that Marine. The Marine is like, you know what, that bunker looks rather nice. Let me go ahead and sit inside there. And we'll see what the follow-up play is, as we should perhaps be getting more Marines inside that bunker. Now, what is the follow-up play going to be? 2 Zerglings walk into a bunker, and they decide to walk out of combat range. The Marine uncannily never misses his target, always hits a Zergling, even when it is 5 to 7, or what is that? I'd say that's like 10 paces away. Very, very effective harassment there, as we are going to be moving now either into Widow Mines or Hellions. Following this up, Kaz is going for bio play back, and I am curious as to whether or not Kaz is going to be going for Hellions for map control or Widow Mines in order to defend his base. It looks as though it is going to, in fact, be Widow Mines. Not surprised by this. Both options would have been very, very strong, but a lot of Zerg players have recently known how to shut down all of the Widow Mine playing by just sacrificing Zerglings. You can see that the Widow Mines will be making their way down, perhaps placing a Widow Mine here, and here would be the strong and obvious choice, but all Nerchio needs to do is run in with 1 Zergling and say, okay, there's that Widow Mine. I've kind of deactivated it for 40 seconds, and now, Kaz, how much other defense do you really have? Alright, you can also see it looks as though the Widow Mine is going to burrow itself at burrowing itself right at that Xel'Naga tower. I think this is actually a mistake by Kaz. Kaz should perhaps move it so that it's actually not in the vents. But then again, it doesn't have much sight or range either. Oh, the burrowing of Kaz needs to happen quickly. And is it going to happen in time? Yes, it will. There it goes, takes down one Zergling, and it is currently on the time life. Going to be repositioning itself. And, oh, this is going to be cutting it close. We do see a Roach Warren already coming into play, as Nerchio is going to be running up on 3 bases. On top of this, Kaz is really building a very, very heavy front door wall that is just screaming to be Baneling busted, as those Banelings should be able to hit 2 if not 3 supply depots at a time. We are now transitioning into that bio play. As I mentioned, that 1 reactor now going to be double training up medevacs. We see Marines and Marauders being being trained up as well. We should get out on another tech lab and perhaps a reactor as well. Perhaps starting a reactor on this factory. Okay, so 2 Widow Mines not burrowed. You can see that there is in fact Widow Mine sitting here, and by denying the Xel'Naga watchtowers, Nerchio is significantly limited in his scouting. Even though he does have overlords all across the map, he still doesn't have nearly as much information as he would like. Widow Mines are now on the move. You can, alongside Marines and Marauders, Stim is nearly completed. Level 1 weapons upgrade nearing completion, as well as we are going to be going into a bit of Roaches. Kaz still doesn't know what's going on here at all. We are making a move out across. Double medevacs are in position. Roaches are off over here, as we see an Overseer walks. Oh, the Overseer, would it have been able to spot it? Yes, it should have been able to spot it here, as we now see an attack coming in from the bottom side here. Roaches are in position. Widow Mines are going to be burrowing. And oh, that is going to be a very, very dangerous aggression, as you see that the Queens and the Roaches are all battling it back and forth. The Widow Mines are just out of range. And oh, there goes one shot. How much damage is going to be dealt? There's another shot there, as both sides are firing back and forth, not focusing down the Overseer early enough, as the Roaches are still doing a little bit of pursuit. No glial reconstitution means that the Marauders and the Marines are going to be able to kite these units, but without concussive shells, this is still actually a bit dangerous for Kaz, as Kaz is behind by about 20 supply. 66 drones, 52 SCVs now coming in, as an Overseer now doing a quick flyby in. The Marines, not the smartest bunch here. Resocked Marines unable to chase an Overseer, as the Overseer now hides off here again. Okay, the Widow Mine did get a lot of kills there once more, but Nerchio now regaining that map control, as medevacs are still wandering around the map here. Okay, Nerchio unable to spot up onto the high ground. And I guess this is a little bit of a change here. Normally, I would have thought, okay, there we go. Actually able to spot up onto the high ground now. We'll be able to continue that push across, as we now have Marines and Marauders going after the Overlord. Overlord will get shot down there, but it will delay this expansion for at least a little bit of time. Roaches are upgraded 0-1, soon to be 0-2. Concussive shells, I do believe, are done. Is it done? I can't click on a Marauder. No, concussive shells are not done, but we do have, in fact, siege tanks. So there is going to be some siege tank protection. The siege tank here should be able to cover some of the ramp, I believe, but not much of it at all. So there is going to be that sensor tower, and now Nerchio is going to be attacking straight up into Kaz, as Kaz has closed up much of the supply difference. Zerglings, Roaches sitting at the Xel'Naga tower. Nerchio now taking up his own 4th base, as Kaz really just cranking production into high gear. Siege tanks, Marauders, Marines all being trained up. 2 more barracks being added in addition to another factory. And Starport production still has not shown any sort of Raven play. Okay, medevacs now trying to do a quick flyby. All those Roaches now trying to head back home. Is it going to be enough, as those Spore Crawlers are in position to just deter any serious drop before it comes into play? And this has been one of the major changes in terms of Heart of the Swarm. Static defense, Spore Crawlers, Spine Crawlers, missile turrets, photon cannons have become much more of an option at dealing with drops. Terran players with those Ignite Afterburners really able to just drop in and shut down bases very quickly. 2 to 3 medevacs could destroy a base in just a matter of seconds. As we see 1-0 upgrades soon to be 1-1, and shortly thereafter 2-1 upgrades. Zergling's now coming in with 2-2, and oh, this could be a bad position. Kaz gets his siege tanks sieged up just in time. Siege tanks, and oh, you can see scanner sweeps the siege tanks just out of range. We do have infestors, no neuroparasite, as Nerchio now going into Ultralisk. Ultralisk with chitinous plating, 6 Ultralisk now being trained. That is rather unsettling for any Terran player, as ground armies simply fall apart. 2 Ultralisk, and on top of that, Terran players generally don't have that many useful options against Ultralisk. Banshee would be perhaps the best choice, but then again, Banshees have that double attack, making it very difficult for them to actually get through the armor of an Ultralisk and deal that much damage. Siege tanks now ready to go. Are we perhaps going to see a couple Marauders? There's a fungal growth, not hitting much at all, as we are going to see a group of Marauders and Marines perhaps sneak up inside. Medivacs, 4 of them, now sneaking up onto the high ground here. 2 onto the high ground, 2 on the low ground. That is not a good news at all, as Kaz needs to pick up all of his units. Will be able to do exactly that and perhaps drop them onto the low ground, but Ultralists are now on the field. Here we go. There's the Ultralists. The Marines and the Marauders trying to get behind, and a lot of damage is being dealt. The Ultralists, however, getting choked up on tanks, as the Marauders and the Marines now backing off. Meanwhile, another strong push here, and it looks as though the Evolution Chamber chitinous plating isn't going to get taken down. Oh, the Infestors. Beautiful damage being dealt across, as we now see the Ultralisk Cavern chitinous plating is about to be done. Okay, Infestor after Infestor is getting taken down, and it looks as though the chitinous plating has completed, as Kaz is taking heavy losses. Nerchio only at 196 supply compared to Kaz's 136, and Ultralisk now with 5 armor, able to destroy so much. These Ultralists deal so much damage, able to just slice their way through pretty much anything that they want to attack and take down, as we are now moving into the late game, and Kaz needs to find an answer to these Ultralists. Alright, Planetary Fortress now being added. Siege tanks are upgraded 1-0. And what are these Ultralists looking to do? Let's take a look. We can see hatcheries have been placed down. Not a double expand. Nerchio only getting gas at this point at this bottom right-hand expansion, perhaps waiting for his main base to mine out. Upgrades are soon going to be 2-2 with 2-0 upgrades on those siege tanks, but it may all be too little too late, as the Ultralists now simply walk in here. Zerglings now coming across the center, and here we go. Here is the battle, as Zerglings flanking in from pretty much all sides. This is not good. The siege tanks should not be or cannot be your front line, as the Ultralists are now just trying to chase after all the units here. Alright, Ultralists getting a good trade in, and Nerchio perhaps overextended, and the Marines and the Marauders now chasing after those Ultralists once more. So that was actually a very strong play for those of you guys who are looking to deal with Ultralists. And backing off with the Marines and the Marauders, the DPS is actually higher on the Marines and the Marauders, and the Ultralists are then stuck with 2 choices. They can either continue to try and chase those Marines and Marauders who are slightly faster when off of creep, and take shell damage from those Ultralists or from those siege tanks, or stop up on the siege tanks and then let the Marines and Marauders do just impressive focus fire onto those units instead. One Marauder writes home, says, hey, I saw a large army of units and was able to survive. Meanwhile, Zerglings is now doing a quick swarm in, as one command center now taken down. Perhaps additional command centers will get taken down. A Zergling run by, causing a bit of problems, as the Marines and the Marauders are there finally to clear it up. Alright, Marauders and Marines now coming back here. It looks as though Nerchio is going to just suicide all of these Zerglings once more. Kaz now with a 20 supply or 30 supply advantage coming in. Ultralisk looking to just charge down the ramp, as the medevac, 3 medevac drop, but only 1 medevac has anything in its cargo, really, dropping straight up here to try to take down some of these extractors. Zerglings now doing another quick run by, not going to be doing much of anything. And where are those Ultralists? The Ultralists are not engaging, as Nerchio now doing a tech switch into Broodlords. Alright, Broodlords are going to catch Kaz completely off guard. You can see that he's already sitting on or near maximum supply. He only has 1 starport, I believe. He needs a 2nd starport to increase that Viking production, as Zerglings once again going to be running inside here. All right, Zerglings running just absolutely rabid through this. Meanwhile, a large engagement, beautiful fungal growths, and Kaz is going to be in trouble here as chain fungal growths just completely destroy the army. You can now see that the Marauders and the Marines are hoping for a strong counterattack. Unbeknownst to them, there are already a whole bunch of Corruptors on the field with what the Greater Spire nearing completion. Zergling's now doing a bit of a base trade, and Kaz hoping that this base trade will actually come out on top for him. Is it going to be enough as Overlord's siege tank still battling it out? There goes a Queen, and Nerchio sitting at 150 versus 157. Wait for it. 7 Broodlords, 10 Broodlords now being trained. And will those 10 Broodlords find their target? Oh, Zerglings, no Hellbats here whatsoever. That is going to be very, very devastating. With no Hellbats to clean up the initial Zergling wave, the Ultralists are free to pretty much do whatever they want. And focusing down now the last remnants of this entire Terran army. Only a couple units were able to escape and regroup. Nerchio sitting at 140, or sorry, Kaz sitting at 147, Nerchio sitting at 163, and here comes the slow death march of Broodlords. All right, a murder of Broodlords now on the way, ready to drop off the kids. And those kids are just so deadly, so dangerous. Command Center now training up more SCVs, as we're going to see a Command Center now being taken here at the top left. More Marines now being added once more. Kaz with very impressive production. Perhaps he suspects that there is Broodlords. He sees the Broodlords in the center and now says, crap, I need 2 more starports stat. Here we go. Broodlords dropping off the kids. Those Broodlings completely swarming over everything. Not enough Vikings now training up medevacs, as the planetary fortress is going to go into perhaps even triple digits in terms of the kills. The the mules now being called over to repair. Planetary fortress does have more armor, but is it going to be enough to survive? No, I do not believe so. Meanwhile, a Marine Marauder drop on the far side of the map to try to make sure that this hatchery doesn't get up. Fungal growth will be coming in. There's a bit of a dodge, but yes, enough to take down the hatchery in the exchange. So Nerchio comes in with a giant sledgehammer to beat down the front door. Meanwhile, Kaz comes in with 2 surgical strikes to take this down, and it looks as though, is it going to be enough? Beautiful transfusions save the hatchery, as it is now down to 700 hit points. It was perhaps transfused 5 to 8 times, I believe. I couldn't actually hear or count all of the number of transfusions, but beautifully done, as the Marines and the Marauders hoping that the quad Viking production will be enough. All right, here we have more units. The Marines and the Marauders now backing off. Broodlings are floating around, waiting to take down the Marauder. The Marauder, however, getting, not healed back up, as there are no medevacs in the skies. Kaz is now sitting on a 40 supply discrepancy. Medevacs now perhaps trying to drop on the far side here. It looks as though you could drop behind the mineral line and get off a lot of damage. Meanwhile, lifting up in the air, only to get shot down by mass Corruptors. This is Queen Broodlord, as the Vikings are now finding some free target practice against those units. A fungal growth does land on only 1 Viking only, as the drop now coming in. Infestors, Marines, Marauders, are they going to take down the hatchery? It looks like it might. It is now down to 31 hit points. There it goes. And a beautiful surgical strike, as Nerchio is not going to be able to trade nearly as well. Meanwhile, the Broodlords are continuing to come in. Nerchio with a slower army, not able to catch up with this very, very mobile Marine Marauder siege tank army that seems to be attacking at every place at once. However, Nerchio does have a rather large bank and has the supply advantage. Here we go. Marines and Marauders now trying to come in. The medevacs trying to regroup with the rest of the army here, as the Corruptors and Broodlords now trying to come back around. All right, what's happening here? Ultralist Cavern now going to get taken down. There it goes. Perhaps another hatchery will get taken down to try to slow down all of the gas production, but this is just all really not that effective, as you now see siege tanks. Siege tanks going to get surrounded very quickly. Marines now holding the ramp, holding the choke point, but that's what happens when you hold a choke point. Double fungal growth all the way. We all know what that means. A whole bunch of dead Marines, as the Marauders and the Marines fall apart. Nerchio should be able to finish this up, but not before Kaz gets another small victory, taking down another hatchery. All right, Viking production, Viking count now up to 14. Is it enough? That is going to be the telltale question 14 Vikings, no armor, no weapons upgrade, and it is going to be going up against Corruptors. Alright, Vikings need to perhaps flank themselves or spread out just a bit. Those fungal growths are going to be causing quite a bit of problems, especially when there are even more Corruptors than there are Vikings. Currently training up mass Marines. This is going to be Kaz's last stand, pretty much. More missile turrets, perhaps, or at least +1 range on those missile turrets, as we now see Zerglings coming in. Corruptors quickly shut down one Viking caught out of position. Here we go. Here's the battle. Sky versus Sky, not Warcraft 3, as we now see the Broodlords getting transfused, getting saved, and Nerchio easily takes Game 4 here on Daybreak, taking a 3-1 lead in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the game.